You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in Massimo D'Angelo, partner and co-chair of the real estate industry group at Blank Rome, located in New York City. Massimo is an internationally distinguished real estate attorney and commercial litigator with extensive experience in high-stake cases. In his role as co-chair of Blank Rome's real estate litigation practice, Massimo leads and manages a team of attorneys. Attorney D'Angelo first appeared on the Lawyer Stories podcast episode 3 a little over 5 years ago. It should be noted we've now published over 220 episodes. It should also be noted that Massimo and I are personal friends from our time at UMass-Amherst several years ago, and he has been a great supporter of Lawyer Stories, which we appreciate. Welcome, my friend, back into Lawyer Stories.
Thank you for having me back, Benny.
Yeah, man, I don't even think we had a YouTube channel at that time, so it was all audio, I believe, but it was a great episode nonetheless, and it's been a pleasure to see your career grow as it has.
Thank you, and likewise with Lawyer Stories.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was great coming out to New York City Connect May 1st. We had a blast. We had a lot of fun, and I hope to see you back there in August. I know you're doing big things. So you've been in a lot of high-stakes, high-profile cases, Mas. But before we get to that, one thing I want to cover that we talked about a little bit off the record, and I think people would really be interested to know about your family history and your background a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, no, of course. My background, I'm the son of immigrants. Both my parents came over here in the late 70s from southern Italy, two villages actually 5 minutes apart from each other. My parents met in Connecticut, and my dad had a 1973 white Corvette Stingray. His name's Guido. He had an afro given the time period, and pulled up to my mom and said, "Oh, voglio," which is like a term of endearment.
Great.
And my mom responded, and they said, "Oh, I'm from this village. I'm from this village. No way." And that was it. So parents were certainly very hard workers. My strong work ethic. My dad, American dream story, climbed up the corporate ladder. He was a stock boy in a warehouse for aftermarket European auto car parts, and then worked all the way up to be the vice president, then spun off, started his own company, and bought properties in and around where we lived in Jersey. And my mom was the first person to attend college in her family, got a PhD, ultimately became an author, published poetry books and other textbooks. And she took me to Italy every summer to a town called Urbino. Yeah, so I was very fortunate to go there every summer to keep up my Italian. In fact, a lot of my clients are Italian speaking, so it really helps, with business.
So you speak Italian, like fluent Italian?
Yes, I'm fluent. I actually learned how to speak Italian before I spoke English.
Oh, that's unbelievable. And every summer, even those summers at UMass, you were going to Italy, huh?
Yes, I was going to a town called Urbino, which is very famous. Machiavelli talks about it in The Prince.
Yep.
The famous painter Raphael was born there. Beautiful castle and just a tremendous place.
Wow. So do you remember what town of Connecticut they met in? Just because I lived there. So just like the side.
So it was in and around the New Haven area.
Love New Haven. There we go. All right. So you went to law school, obviously UMass law school, and then tell us how your career started, like your first job, and then how you built this success. I mean, you have such a successful career right now, Massimo, and tell us how you kept building it.
Sure. And I think, a lot of the success comes from what my parents instilled in me as the motto is to,
Mhm.
work hard and be nice to people. And certainly, my first job coming out was at a general practice law firm in New Jersey, small firm. And so I got to deal with a lot of the cases that came through the door. And fortunate enough, being that it was a small firm, I was really thrown into the fire.
Yeah.
I would be sitting in my office, and my mentor, who was a guy that was a great orator and a wonderful writer. I mean, I still remember, printing out papers and going into his office, and we would go over them together, write on them,
Yep.
and there's really no better way to learn. But he would drop 5 red wills on my desk and say, "You're doing the appeal," and I'm not even a year out, and I'm writing an appeal to the Appellate Division Second Department in New York and arguing it. So it's really a thing unheard of, certainly in the bigger firms and big firm world. I was fortunate enough actually to bring in a case because remember I came out a couple of years after you, but in the
Yep.
2008 2009 financial crisis is
Yep.
when I hit the ground running.
Yep.
And we had a really cool case come in Newark. We had a lovely Mexican family in what later became known as the foreclosure rescue scams. And this family had deeded their property over unbeknownst to them. And so we found the fraud, and I brought an emergency motion in Essex County in Newark, and I sought interim attorney's fees to be awarded under the New Jersey Consumer Fraud Act. And we got them. They were granted, which had never been done before.
Wow.
So we helped change the law. And 1 year out of law school, and the New Jersey Law Journal, came to the office, and I made the front page of the New Jersey Law Journal.
Awesome.
And so, every case, builds helps build your career, teaches you. I still learn every day.
Yeah.
It's always a learning experience. But certainly, you want to build off those victories. And listen, there's no better feeling than winning an appeal. You're helping to develop the law. So when you do win an appeal and you get that back, and you see it on Westlaw, and it's your case, and you've helped modify or shape the law, there's no better, more gratifying feeling as a lawyer.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I think you've done a lot of that actually. Like as we fast forward, like through, we're not going to fast forward. We're going to stay right there. But going through some of the cases that you have changed the law. I mean, you've been in condo disputes. You've talked about notice, like a lot of these things that law students actually learn, and like people studying for the bar learn. Like you've sort of like changed the precedent and like changed the law on a lot of those, I think.
Yeah, and we talked about it on episode 3
Yeah.
with the Atelier. And that was really a major, groundbreaking case where there was an illegal hotel operation going on at this Atelier building in Midtown. And I worked, hand in hand with the Attorney General's office, the Mayor's Office of Special Enforcement, the District Attorney. And ultimately, it led to what ended up being the largest successful raid on an illegal hotel in New York City history.
Right.
And shut that down. That was an operation which was really incredible. It was a building on the Midtown, right by the Intrepid on the West Side Highway there. Beautiful door glove building, but being run and operated as a hotel. Continental is spread out every morning, dry cleaning services, and the way that they were ultimately doing it to propagate the illegal hotel is they were actually taking it handlers that would take the luggages from tourists coming up to the building so that they could walk in, unsuspecting and look like they were condominium unit owners of the condo.
Mm-hmm.
To go in, and ultimately the raid found and implicated actually some of the board members who were involved in the scheme, and we were on CBS News. And
Mass, do you know how many people were on that board, by the way? Like, was it a lot of board members? Was it like a big board?
No, it was less than 10.
So you're talking about CBS News. You were in the Wall Street Journal. I mean, this was a huge case, Atelier. I remember you sent it to me November 2018. It was all going down. So, and by the way, like I think a case like this is very difficult to prove, and you were able to go in there and somehow, you had people coming to you and saying, "Hey, Massimo, like or Attorney D'Angelo, like, what's going on here? Like, I have people here. I want to feel safe and secure in my home, and there's like all this foot traffic, and like, how do you go about proving a case like that? Like building your case?
Yeah, you have to just constantly work hard and try to peel back every single layer of the onion that you can. And it was really incredible. I mean, I remember the case on the intake when the group of unit owners came in to meet with me to tell me about
Yeah.
the case. And one of them was actually an Italian American woman. She was actually a lawyer in Italy. And I remember her telling me that she actually got fined. She got fined by the board for speaking out and trying to shut down
Wow.
the
That's
illegal.
crazy.
And hearing that as a lawyer, rule of law and First Amendment rights, that really
Was it
struck
a
a.
private entity though? Like, was the board like a private thing? Like, how do you get
So the
around
board,
that? You
the
know?
boards in New York City, both at condominiums and cooperatives, function just like a corporation.
Okay.
They are the board. They're elected. They're supposed to have annual meetings,
Right.
really governed by the bylaws and the declarations, as the case may be, in condos and co-ops. So everything is set forth. That's sort of their holy grail or Bible. But they're supposed to operate in for the benefit of the condominium unit owners and for the building as a whole. Certainly not to use it, to line their coffers and run an illegal hotel, which
Yeah. So
is
you have
obviously dangerous.
so you have this illegal hotel being run in a condominium where people are paying condo fees. This is their permanent home. It's not a hotel. There's like the breakfast buffet. People are tripping over luggage like in the front of the place. Like, first of all, like, how do these people find you? Why would they come to Massimo D'Angelo? And like, tell us like the process in terms of like, are you documenting stuff as they come to you? Is it a lot of like taking like affidavits and like written memos? And tell us a little bit about the process.
All of that, all
Okay.
of those processes put together. And one case really leads to the next. A lot of them are interconnected. So a lot of the business, that I get is through
Yeah.
the attorneys I've gone up against, or other clients and referrals, et cetera. So I mean, I remember at one time when I was doing the investigation in this case, I get a call from a woman who had just been fired, who was a cleaning lady at the Atelier, and
Wow.
she says, "Massimo, come meet me at a McDonald's in Long Island City."
Nice.
I said, you know, "You can come to my office and we can talk." And so
Yeah.
ended
I mean, you could have gotten like a Happy Meal or something.
up.
All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
So I want. So I had her come. She came into my
Yeah.
office, and she really did have some critical, facts in the case, and gave me a lot of good details. Video of actually showing the rooms of where
Video's good.
they kept all the furniture. They had
Right.
all the furniture marked to, all the illegal erections that were put in to
Yep.
maximize
And they
the
were
illegal
building walls and stuff. Tell us about
building
that. Like
walls.
the
Yeah,
walls
yeah,
that
to
they
make
were.
more units to,
Right.
to increase the short-term rentals. In fact, the Wall Street Journal journalist had opined that it was like a $30 million annual operation. So we're not
Wow.
talking small peanuts. This was a very serious and a lot of money was being made as part of the scheme. So
Moss, were you able to find like advertisements out there? Like, hey, this place, like if you went onto Airbnb and you're looking for a place
no,
in Manhattan. Okay, so it wasn't
no,
like that. It wasn't
no.
like that.
And the way that we did it is in New York, there's a system called ACRIS. ACRIS is a website that you can go on and you can pull all the property records within the five boroughs. So you can pull deeds, you can pull things that are filed on there. And what you can also get is unit owner deeds. So for instance, in a condo, what happened here, and this is what I pieced together, is that when the condominium unit owners bought in, a lot of them had these units as pied-à-terres, right? My
Right.
client was a smaller class of people that actually lived there, resided there, worked in the city, and used it as a home. A lot of them were pied-à-terre. So when they bought in, they would sign over a power of attorney to the board to allow the board to dispose of their units as the board saw fit. And so naturally, what the
Oh.
board was doing is they would use these units to propagate the illegal hotel scheme.
How
So
many units were in this building?
the hundreds.
Hundreds. Wow.
It was a very large unit, and again, they're all these cases are interconnected. So
Okay,
what
so actually, I
what
have the info here, Moss. Sorry, 100 of 475 apartments were used.
yeah.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah, it was again the biggest operation to date yet, and led to
so.
the largest raid.
Just for someone like me who's not involved in everyday like litigation, like what's the litigation process like? Like you file a complaint. You're like, hey, you guys are what like the cause of action, the complaint, the discovery. Like, how much work is that? I mean, how you're obviously you're representing all these condo owners, and tell us a little bit about that.
It's a tremendous amount of work,
Yeah.
especially in a case like this. I mean, we had multiple defendant parties because multiple LLCs were used to mask the individual units once purchased.
Wow. Okay.
And they were going back and forth. And again, the board had direct involvement here in this matter. So there was all sorts of things going back and forth, multiple defendants, multiple parties, but also going through all the records and reciting that history from Acris that we found, as well as other matter that we found as a result of the investigation, all needs to be put within the four corners of that complaint. Now, we're in a notice pleading statute, so
Right.
you do have some liberality in what you could file. In fact, as lawyers, we could even file what's called a summons with notice, which is not a comprehensive complaint. But then you'll get a demand, to put a comprehensive complaint in within a certain amount of time. But there's a tremendous amount of work. We put in a lot of work and effort went into crafting the complaint.
Do you remember what the defense was for the like what they were arguing rather for the condo owner, the condo president, like what and obviously they're not going to let anybody talk in front of the condo board, they kick them out or whatever, but what were they trying to say about that? I mean, it was obvious. I mean, you had all this evidence and you had the video and you're taking pictures of I saw the New York Post and all the publications had pictures. So like, what were they trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always a deflection on defense.
Right.
That's the beauty about litigation, is that both sides, have their allegations and assertions, and it's a matter of proving that in ultimately, in a court and getting a determination. Now, this one led to the largest crackdown and violations being issued, even against some board members in pushing the illegal hotel. So, what's nice about this though is every case again is interconnected. So this
Yeah.
case led me to another
Right.
matter.
So I'm going to stop you there because I know, like, based on watching you with Aaron Burnett on CNN, which when you sent me the picture of that, I would like, I was like, wow, that's pretty sweet because I've seen her on my TV at night. So were you headed in that direction, Massimo, or did you want to, sorry, did you want to say something else before
Yeah,
that?
yeah, no. I just wanted to say that that case led me to another case where, a gentleman who was allegedly running
Yeah.
legal hotel on the Upper West Side of Manhattan in one of the old mayor of New York City's homes,
Wow.
I had to defend, and there the allegations were different, and critically, there was something that I found within the statute that where if the owner lived there, it couldn't be considered an illegal short-term rental at the time. And I did save the gentleman in successful settlement negotiations, hundreds of thousands of dollars in civil penalties.
It's
He
amazing.
takes me out, to a restaurant right around the corner, says, Massimo, I'm, going to give you so many cases in the Georgian community. I know so many people. He was Georgian, this guy.
Yep.
And I didn't hear from him for several years. And
Several years, huh?
several years. And then he called me, to see if I was interested in joining a human rights team effort to save the life of the former president of the country of Georgia, Mikheil Saakashvili.
Right, right. So give us the backgrounds on that, like the facts of what was going on there.
So Mikhail Saakashvili was the youngest elected president out of any European country ever. He was 34 years old, elected president. He was schooled here in the U.S., went to Columbia, lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. Actually
Wow.
worked for a firm in New York for a little while before he went back to Georgia. And Georgia was basically, a pile of rubble when he got back. He got rid of the police force. He really reinvigorated the society as a whole, nationalism. He helped create the flag and give it a nationalistic identity. But it was very dangerous there for a time.
Yep.
So he ruled the country, and then ultimately his government was overthrown. And there are reports that the uh, current ruling party, the Georgian Dream, that took over was a Putin proxy.
Really?
Yeah, so this guy, Bidzina Ivanishvili, who took over, who currently runs the Georgian Dream Party, which is the ruling party in power, um, is currently there now. There is serious unrest in the country. I mean, there have been widespread reports. Last October, they had their elections, and the Georgian Dream won again, even though there are reports that 90% of the population is against that party and is pro-West. They want to join NATO. And so I had to get involved in this case. The former president, who was working with Zelensky and Zelensky's cabinet in Ukraine before he decided to go back to Georgia to test his, political goals there. He was in an apartment in downtown Tbilisi ordering takeout food, and he was actually charged in absentia by political rivals based on hearsay statements that were made by political foes.
Wow.
He got multiple charges, so they picked him up, arrested him, threw him in prison, and a lot of the guys he was in prison with were people that he had put there. So he was in very, very dangerous situation. Ultimately got transferred to a prison hospital, but was losing a tremendous amount of weight. And there were videos of him being dragged, and so I had to get involved in this mission to save his life. He had lost 150 pounds in less than a year. And my goal was to put together and compose a team of medical experts, travel to Tbilisi to save his life. And so that's what we did. And I put together a team of the top medical experts. One of them was a Nobel Peace Prize winner.
Wow. How do you go about doing that? Like, what do you start Googling? Like, what do you, I mean?
I mean, you use your contacts, you use your significant contacts.
Yeah.
You go to NGOs, you speak to as many people as you can. It's just a constant work. I mean, you never stop.
Right.
Thing with these. And one thing, one person leads to another referral. You have to vet them, you have to read about them. It's a tremendous amount of work.
How long were you in Tbilisi for?
I was in Tbilisi for a little over 3 days.
Okay.
And so I had to go with a former FBI agent, and that's when it really struck me. We were about a week out from Wheels Up, and I was on a Zoom call looking at Google Earth with my former FBI folks, and they were in touch with the FBI field office in Tbilisi and the embassy, so they all knew I was coming.
Yep.
They said, if you had to, if there was any sort of unrest, they knew I was there, but. We're looking at the Google map, and they're like, Massimo, here's the hotel, here's the embassy, and oh, by the way, here's the hospital. I said, no, wait,
Yeah.
why are we looking at the hospital? I'm a real estate lawyer.
Yeah, no kidding. Jeez.
So, but it was all fine. They never left my side. As soon as I landed with my former FBI agent, we met two former Secret Service Georgians. Who were fully armed with sub-automatic machine guns. Again, they never left my side. So, we were being traced every time we left and came back to the hotel. We were being followed. So,
Followed by
the local Georgian government ruling party.
Okay.
And so, ultimately, we were able to get in and evaluate the former president, along with our medical team of medical experts.
Okay.
We took hair and nail samples, and then we sent them back to a lab in Pennsylvania. And lo and behold, we learned that the former president was being pumped with arsenic, heavy metals, which were causing the massive weight loss and ultimately killing him.
And who was providing that to him? Who was giving that to them? Him? Like, how was he?
Well, I mean, that was never, obviously determined, but the doctors had opined that it was being put in his food and his water.
Wow.
So, But we ended up then exposing it. We as you pointed out, we were on CNN a couple
Yep. Yep.
times. We were in pretty much every major paper, Political, Financial Times, and really put a microscope under the situation. And I'm glad to say that the former president gained all the weight back that he had lost, and now he is in great health.
Okay.
And it's something you never forget, Benny. And his
Yeah.
mom called me and said, "Massimo, you saved my son's life." And that's there's winning appeals, and then there's that, and then
That's
the
great.
union,
So,
nothing that can replicate that.
right. So there's like legal precedent and cases and like regulations and laws, and then there's the humanitarian sort of representation. Like, what's that like going over there and just like how, what do you feel your duty was over there as his attorney, like being followed by guards and then being followed by the governing party? Like, what is your duty over there to do as an attorney?
It's an amazing feeling. Being in a foreign place, it's also daunting at the same time.
Yeah.
Didn't get much sleep.
No, I bet.
All. But you feel that you're there on a mission, and that mission is to do everything you can, ethically and to the best of your ability to save that person's life. Whatever that takes. Finding out exactly what's going on, putting it out in the press and the media, and putting a stop to it ultimately, which we were successful in doing. And you're right,
Yeah.
it goes absolutely beyond that because it didn't stop there. Afterwards, I worked very closely with several European Parliament leaders. I actually went to the European Parliament in Strasbourg, and we successfully petitioned for the inclusion of Georgia as a member candidate status and in joining NATO.
Wow, that's great.
So, we spoke, I spoke there and pushed that. And then also went to London, worked very closely with Bill Browder, who is the architect behind the Magnitsky Act, which is the act that allows, people to sanction foreign officials for improprieties, such as, what was occurring to Saakashvili. It was instrumental. It was really all part of a process, and just a gratifying experience all around.
Yeah, I mean, has your career sort of changed or taken like a turn, or like has it altered? Has it, like have you gotten anything like since then? I know I saw you on Aaron Burnett. That was really cool, and maybe cases come your way. They see Massimo D'Angelo. Like you were saying, cases sort of breed cases, like referrals. So do you think that helped?
Yes, absolutely, and it helped again. Is not only being a learning experience,
Yep.
but helped build out certainly the resume, the experience level, how to handle certain situations, and I mean it's integral in informing you as the lawyer that you ultimately will become. And I do a lot of international work now as a result of that. So it really helped the trajectory of my legal path.
Wow. So you've kind of evolved your practice from real estate to like international law in a way, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
It's amazing. I was kind of curious, like, how did you get into real estate to begin with? Like, why real estate?
I always wanted to do real estate, actually. It was something I really liked at law school. I actually just got appointed as an officer in the International Bar Association real estate section.
Nice.
So I was in Milan a couple weeks ago at the leadership forum, and last week we had the real estate annual conference in London. So get to travel quite a bit and have significant contacts all around the world in the real estate sector. I do a lot of commercial leasing also all over Europe. Did a lease in Tokyo, Japan recently.
Really? What was
Germany.
that like? What kind of a lease? Like, what was that like?
Commercial lease. So for a retail, fashion brand outfit. And it's the same negotiation. You got local counsel, certainly to help out or assist with any local, technical real estate issues.
How does that come across your desk?
So I represent a number of brands that have
Okay. All right.
international presence, and
Gotcha.
so they'll come to me and for the negotiations. Really,
Yep.
that's the core of these things. Are they're all a function of how you negotiate them best for the client.
Wow. That's amazing. So I know this is sort of, I don't, did you want to say anything more about former President Mikheil Saakashvili?
No, I mean I think we covered it. Again, it was just a gratifying,
Yeah.
the most rewarding experience in my legal career. Getting that call from his mom, saying I saved his life was
It's amazing. Yeah.
unforgettable.
It's amazing. So like, what about being in big law? Like, tell me about that. Like the step from, maybe coming out of law school and you talk about your boss, like going over, like telling you to write a brief and stuff, and now going to the, it's just two different types of practices, right? Now, so what's it like now being at a couple big law firms and now being where you are?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head, Benny. It's completely two different worlds,
Yeah,
between a three-person shop and a firm with 1,000 plus lawyers. So yeah, I mean, listen, it's a big change, but everything has a learning curve. And at the end of the day, in essence, what you're doing is you're providing legal services to your clients to the best of your ability and trying to win the case. That never changes. Your ability to speak, to negotiate, to win cases at argument, to have the persuasiveness that's needed to get your point across never changes. But what does change, obviously, is the amount or the level of people in the firm that you correspond with and deal with at the different departments. What's nice about big law, especially if you're representing bigger or larger type clients or corporate entities, it allows you the ability to service that client for everything. Whereas if you're in a small firm or you're in a local
right, right,
firm in your jurisdiction only handling one area law, that's all you can handle for that particular client.
right, right.
So, the big law world lets you straddle multiple areas and handle everything soup to nuts for the client. From corporate, if there's a labor and employment issue, they get hit with an ADA suit the next day. You have the full panoply of services before you with sophisticated lawyers in every practice area, that allows you to really provide the best level of services that you can for a client.
Yeah, totally. Um, Moss, tell us a little bit about your presence on LinkedIn, your posting of like like your articles and that sort of thing. Like
Sure.
what do you like about it? What do you get from it?
So I would say that, for business purposes, LinkedIn is the social media platform, if you want to call it that, that I use um, pretty much exclusively.
Yep.
And I write and publish a lot, as you know.
Hmm.
I lecture a lot, and I put if I come up with an article, I'll post it on LinkedIn. Today I posted we made the New York Law Journal this morning, actually, in print. That so I posted that article. We got contempt issued against the church,
Yeah.
uh, which is a rarity.
Yep.
So
I saw that. That's awesome. Sorry. Yeah. Cool.
So, listen, we had an order back in January. Our client was a developer. They constructed a church. It was the commercial unit was supposed to be delivered to the church. Of course, it was during COVID, so there were delays, and the church went and took possession, but was resisting taking the deed. So we got an order ordering the transfer of the deed, and ultimately, when they failed to show up for the closing as directed by the court, we moved for contempt, and it was just issued. So again, that is a rarity to get a contempt order against the church. But
Which case was? I have a couple of your cases in front of me. Was that
that was West
what
116.
West 116 acquisition? All right.
Yeah, that was in the wall. That was in the New York Law Journal this morning.
So congratulations, Moss. Tell me what it's like. Like, how do you? Okay, let me start again. New York City, a lot of lawyers, small firms, big firms, medium-sized firms. How do you stand out?
Yeah, so I think it's important is an important question, and obviously it's a lot of things help you stand out, right? And I think that winning cases, I think being out there, not only helping to develop the law, but to teach. I love teaching. I love
Okay.
teaching the law. I love mentoring, especially the associates on my team, how to handle a case. They'll go with me to court, they'll sit with me at a deposition, they'll be with me at a mediation to see not only what you do at the settlement table in a mediation, for instance, but what goes up to it. There's a lot of hard work, and you can never be prepared enough for any argument or any time you're appearing before a court. No preparation is ever enough.
Yeah.
Every single case that you're citing in your brief, and that's what makes you more effective, and that's what allows you to get the advantage for your clients to ultimately be successful in winning their matter.
I love that. That's great. That's great advice. That's a great take. Massimo, did we leave anything out? I know that you have like tons of cases. We could probably talk all night. I know we have a time limit, or not that you could talk.
We'll have to do episode 650.
But I could ask you. Yeah, 650 would be great. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch upon?
No, I think just the motto, work hard and be nice to people, and you'll find success.
I like it. That's great. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Massimo D'Angelo, Blank Rome, partner and co-chair real estate industry group at Blank Rome. Thanks for being here, my friend. Stay right there. Everybody else, wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.